Welcome to Football Scientific. I'm Aaron Sauter, professor of football science. I am going through today's news in the NFL and the CFL and the IFL and really looking at how things are changing rapidly in the NFL offseason here and the CFL offseason, honestly. Things are going fast and furious throughout the world of football as we get ready for the college football playoffs on Thursday and Friday and the NFL playoffs on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We'll, of course, have our picks coming up soon on those things, starting with Thursday's college football playoff game. But today's all about catching up with the most recent news, and there's been a lot of news recently in the NFL, CFL, IFL. We're kind of waiting for the UFL to get rolling. Also on TikTok, on Football Scientific TikTok, I'm going through my alternate personality. Not the professor of football science, is going through our plan for how we would turn around the Cleveland Browns organization into a Super Bowl champion by next season. Some things have already been heard. We've been making videos. There's 5 phases to that process. We've announced 2 of them so far on TikTok. But Adam Schefter already jumped on our coattails and talked about how on ESPN, the mothership, about how the Browns need an offensive-minded coach. Then I saw that Cliff Kingsbury voluntarily left the Washington Commanders. He must have heard me say they need an offensive-minded coach. And now I heard the Browns are interested in Cliff Kingsbury. That's probably not what I meant. It's not what I didn't mean recycle a failed head coach that runs a janky air raid offense that's undistinguishable from any other NFL offense. No, I was thinking Lincoln Riley, okay, from USC with some RPOs and stuff, okay. Not whatever they got going on with Cliff Kingsbury. Sorry, man. But first, before we get into the news and the information out there and, go over to our TikTok channel, we're going to make our 3rd phase video after we make this and load this thing up. I am joined by my guest, Tyler the Tiger, today. Tyler the Tiger here, ready to go, fired up, ready to talk about football science. Break it down, break it down, break it down. I hope that we have a great show about the NFL and changes that are happening in the CFL and the IFL, and it's going crazy out there. All these FLs are going crazy. I'm ready to go through all this news and break it down. But first, Professor, you look tired. I look tired? You do look tired. Well, what can I do about that? You can drink some W Energy. Obviously, our sponsor, W Energy. Drink some, feel some, be some. Just do it. Do you have any W Energy with you? I do. I have a little bit left of our Japanese Yakuza. It's pretty good. I made another cup today. I was keep sipping on it and feeling good about things, Not too much caffeine. I'm kind of old. You are kind of old. And if you drink too much caffeine, your heart might explode. And that'd probably be a cool video. We probably hit our biggest marks ever if you died on camera. But we're not going to do that. No, that's the wrong call. So let's have you drink some W real quick. Boom, Japanese yuzu. Woo woo. Boom, I do feel more focused and more energetic and not jittery or angsty. So that's a good mix. Thanks for the tip, Tyler the Tiger. You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed the W. And the W is good for everyone. Now, if you want to enjoy your own W, we have our link to buying W on our description of this video, and we have our promo code, and then you get 10 to 40% off based on when you order using our promo code Football Scientific in all caps with no space. And you'll make your own W, and you'll be drinking and feeling good and playing video games and breaking down film and training AI, everything we do plus more. I guess that's it. So let's break it down. Let's break it down. Here we go. So first, NFL news. We mentioned yesterday Kevin Stefanski got fired by the Browns. Well, now there's several teams interested in him. Atlanta Falcons, New York Giants, Tennessee Titans are all interested in Kevin Stefanski to take over their team. Notice all those teams are garbage. Instead, Kevin Stefanski knows about garbage teams. He coached for the Browns for several seasons. Tennessee Titans also showed some interest in former Falcons head coach Raheem Morris. and they're going to be interviewing him later this week. So he's getting right out of Falcons and getting on a job. His defense did play really well. So, I mean, I can see him going back to a DC, honestly. I don't know if he's a head coach guy. Some guys are better DCs and OCs. Like me, I'm a better coordinator than a head coach. It's because I'm not a people person, really. Boom, Carolina Panthers, they waived wide receiver Hunter Renfrow, and they activated wide receiver David Moore. So a big move before the playoff game this weekend in the wild card round. Dallas Cowboys fired defense coordinator Matt Eberflus. Boom, bye. That means the Cowboys will have their 4th defense coordinator in 4 seasons. That is not stability. Okay, that's not stability, okay? Washington Commanders, as we mentioned, offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury has decided to step away from the organization, and the Commanders also decided to fire or remove or whatever. He stepped away, whatever you want to say. Joe Witt Jr. as the defense coordinator is out too. So now the Commanders will have a new OC and DC coming in. Opportunities around the league for young guys, that's what you're looking at. Boom! Atlanta Falcons agreed with Kirk Cousins to modify the last 2 years of his contract to make it more manageable for the salary cap, and they're looking to trade him. They didn't say that, but they're looking to trade him. And they can't trade him because they owe him $25 million. So they're trying to split that up some. Okay, so when they try to make a trade, another team would be more willing to take on that salary. So he agreed with it too. So I guess he's not happy being the highest paid backup quarterback in NFL history. I mean, there's Deshaun Watson, I guess. I bet. All right. Broncos defensive coordinator Vance Joseph has drawn some interest for head coaching positions. He's expected to interview sometime probably this week while they're getting ready. I have a bye week, I guess. They're not getting ready for a playoff game. They're expected to interview with the Las Vegas Raiders, Arizona Cardinals, the New York Giants, and the Titans head coaching vacancies. So Vance Joseph looks to be getting another chance, another recycled bad head coach. He was horrible with the Chiefs. They're going to recycle him somewhere else. I would look for fresh prospects, honestly. Chicago Bears have designated Kyler Gordon, a wide receiver for them, and Braxton Jones to return to practice and open their 21-day practice window. So now 21 days, they have to reactivate those players if they're healthy and ready to go. Trying to bulk up for the wild card round and into the playoffs. We'll see what they do with those guys. Green Bay Packers have signed quarterback Desmond Ridder from their practice squad to their active roster. So it's good to see a Cincinnati Bearcat. Good to see Desmond Ridder get another chance to be with the team. He's going to be the backup, third-string quarterback with the Green Bay Packers. How did he get that job? Well, they released quarterback Clayton Tune. Man, he was so bad last week. They were like, man, you were good when you're on the practice squad, but now you're on the active roster. You got to start. You're really bad. Desmond Ridder is slightly less bad, so he gets to be the third-string quarterback. That's a breakthrough for Desmond Ridder on. So I thought he was out of the league. In addition, they signed wide receiver Julian Hicks and wide receiver Keyshawn Johnson and tight end Messiel Smirnoff or whatever to their practice squad. And of course, Clayton Tune is gone. Open the door for Desmond Ridder to take over as third-string quarterback. Okay, boom. Some news that came out last few hours as I was preparing doing some other things, I guess, but preparing to make the video. Kevin Stefanski is getting a lot of attention from the New York Giants. That was before the next thing happened. We'll talk about in a second. Buffalo Bills signed kicker Matthew Wright to their practice squad, so they're still looking for a kicker that's consistent. Michael Badgley was not the guy Matt Prater, probably still hurt. So they're looking for a kicker. They missed the kick. It could have beat the Eagles, and they didn't. So that could really crush them in the playoffs there. I'd hate to lose to Jacksonville by 1 point, but they could if they don't have a kicker. And they're trying to get one on a practice squad that's reasonably good so they can hopefully not lose the game by 1 point in Jacksonville. Detroit Lions, they have parted ways with their offensive coordinator, Johnny Morton. Bye, Johnny. Boo. So they're going to be looking for another offensive coordinator again. Baltimore Ravens have fired. Oh, here's the big news. Baltimore Ravens have fired head coach John Harbaugh He had the second longest tenure in the NFL as a head coach. He'd been with the Ravens for the last 18 years. He won a Super Bowl with them, but he is done after they didn't make the playoffs this year. John Harbaugh has now become the most interesting, the top candidate for every head coaching job in the NFL. Multiple teams have already reached out. His agent said 7 teams have already called in the first 45 minutes that he was fired from the Ravens. 7 teams. There's 6 teams that need head coaches outside the Ravens. 7 teams called. I think the Bengals were one of those teams, man. All right. New York Giants have also, as mentioned, that Harbaugh is definitely on the top of their list suddenly. They moved to Kevin Stefanski was there, and then he jumped over him with John Harbaugh. They're like, oh, no, Kevin who? John Harbaugh. That's who we want. That's who we said we wanted was John Harbaugh, not Kevin Stefanski. In the CFL, the Hamilton Tiger Cats keep making the right moves. Last year, they had a lot of good things going on. And then a lot of those good things are becoming free agents this year. Unless they signed them before free agency starts. And they have been on top of that. This is the first year, in my memory, they've been on top of it. So they've re-signed Bo Levi Mitchell already. They signed Jamal Peters at cornerback. They signed Stavros Kasantonis yesterday. And today they signed Brandon Revenberg, one of their foundational players on their offensive line. So they're doing a really good job of bringing these guys back. I have an article about Brandon Revenberg returning to the Tiger Cats on CFLNewsHub.com. Check that out. I also read about Stavros Kasantonis yesterday, so you can check those articles out and get more information about that. In addition, all CFL defensive lineman Jalen Hutchins has signed a futures contract with the Minnesota Vikings, so he's getting a chance to move on to the NFL. Calgary wide receiver Damian Alford is getting a look from the New Orleans Saints. I think he's been signed prior to a practice squad for the New Orleans Saints. Calgary Stampeders have hired Jarius Jackson as their new quarterback coach. Calgary Stampeders have also announced that running back Jeshurun Antwi has retired from the CFL, so they'll need a running back there. Ottawa Redblacks, former Roughnecks defensive line coach, Philip Donnelly, he has left the staff to join the Redblacks. I remember yesterday Saskatchewan took one of their retired defensive linemen, just retired, and made him the defensive line coach. So that's why they had to do that. Boom. Also, the CFL, maybe I didn't announce that yet, though, so we'll see. Ottawa Redblacks, quarterback Drew Brown agreed to reworking of his contract yesterday with Ottawa Redblacks. They're trying to free some money up to sign some free agents. Edmonton Elks have signed American defensive back Javon Bird. Winnipeg Blue Bombers have released American offensive line Chris Kolonowski, and he signed national defensive lineman Tanner Schmeckel. And then Saskatchewan Rough Riders have signed American defensive back Garrett Hollis Jr. and signed American defensive tackle Jalen Pate. In addition, the BC Lions have signed American offensive lineman Chris Schluger. And the Calgary Stampeders have signed American wide receiver Jeff Foreman and signed American wide receiver Jeremiah Hunter. So the Calgary Stampeders are very busy right now. Toronto Argonauts have signed American offensive lineman Marcus Harper II. And in IFL, the San Antonio Gunslingers have named Malcolm Goins as their new defensive coordinator. So hopefully they get a better defense there in San Antonio for the Gunslingers, not the Brahmas. Brahmas don't exist anymore. Okay, so that's the news for today in the NFL, CFL, and IFL. Just going through it, trying to keep up with all the business, especially with coaching changes. On TikTok, I do have our breakdown, our 5-phase breakdown of how to turn the Cleveland Browns into a championship team. And I'll be putting in phase 3 of that here with my alter ego here in a few minutes after loading this video to YouTube. Okay, so that's how it's done. Check out FootballAnalysisOne.com for my NFL articles. Check out CFLNewsHub.com for my Hamilton Tiger Cats articles, including Stavros Kasantonis and Brandon Revenberg articles from the last 2 days. And then check out UFLNewsHub.com. They're about to be assigning these quarterbacks, man. Drafting them, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of confusion about how they're going to do this thing. But the quarterbacks will be distributed to teams sometime in the near future, theoretically. Okay, so that's the plan there, and that's it for Football Scientific. Make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's keep climbing up as we go, and let's make this thing really big. Okay, Football Scientific, The portal is now closed. Boop.